Ted Cheeseman defeats Sam Eggington on a 12-round unanimous decision. This was the main event for Matchroom Fight Camp Episode 1. And it was a good main event. In fact, it turned out to be a better fight than I expected. I thought personally that Cheeseman would be more dominant than this. I do think he did enough, just enough, to deserve the decision. But I wouldn't have grumbled if it had gone to Sam Eggington, truth be told. Because Eggington's boxing, particularly in the second half of the fight, was really nice. He was landing some nice jabs, some nice shots. And as you saw after the fight, Ted Cheeseman actually looked more busted up than Sam Eggington. Now, obviously, some people bruise and cut more easily than others. And perhaps Ted Cheeseman just doesn't have as durable skin as Sam Eggington. But at the same time, Eggington was putting plenty of hands on him, landing lots of good shots. And there was a moment in the 12th round. See, the one thing about Cheeseman is that he actually visibly hurt Sam Eggington on a couple of occasions. Early in the fight, one of the early rounds, he buckled Sam Eggington's legs. But Eggington being an experienced vet at this stage, it's incredible to think Eggington's still in his mid-20s. Given all the fights he's had and all he's done. Incredible. He's so young still. But he buckled Eggington's legs. Eggington, being a vet, was able to ride out the storm, duck and dive and then get back into the fray quite quickly. And then later on in the fight, Cheeseman hurt Eggington again. But again, Eggington is very calm under pressure these days and was able to slip and slide. And of course, Ted Cheeseman, I guess, isn't the most amazing finisher in the world. Wasn't able to get him out of there. But at the same time, Ted Cheeseman did say in the post-fight interview that he was mindful about not punching himself out in going for the finish because he's seen that Sam Eggington is actually quite difficult to drop. A lot of people hurt him, but not many people drop him. So, that is why in fact, he said, Ted Cheeseman, that if there'd been a crowd there cheering, when he'd hurt Eggington, he probably would have gone for it a lot more, but that might have backfired. So I take that into account. But either way, the early rounds or the first half of the fight, that was really Cheeseman, who was doing a lot of the good work, hurting Sam Eggington and what have you. Eggington wasn't really boxing. He was more trying to stand and fight early in the contest. But as the fight progressed, Eggington pulled out this long-range jabbing game. And I was like, where was this early in the fight? Later on, he pulled out this long-range jabbing game. He had this real nice, fluid style that he was boxing with, popping jabs into Cheeseman's face, rocking his head back. I was like, whoa, he should have done this from earlier on. Or maybe he couldn't. Maybe Cheeseman wasn't letting him do that earlier on. Maybe Cheeseman started slowing down in the second half of the fight, and that allowed Eggington to switch it up. Who knows? But I was quite impressed with Eggington's boxing in the second half of this fight with the jabs, the combinations, and body shots as well. Good stuff from Sam Eggington. In fact, Sam Eggington was doing some good body work early in the fight too, or in the first half of the fight. But second half of the fight, yeah, Eggington, he was looking all right in there. In fact, that's the best long-range boxing I think I've ever seen from Sam Eggington. And in the final round, that is the closest that Eggington got to actually hurting Cheeseman. And I think he did buzz Cheeseman a couple times in the fight. There was one time earlier in the fight where I think he buzzed him, but Cheeseman's legs didn't go. His legs never wobbled. He just kind of stood still for a second and just covered up and then backed up a little bit. And I think he did kind of hurt Cheeseman or just buzz him momentarily earlier on in the fight. And he buzzed him as well in the 12th round. The 12th round was the best round of the contest. Real good round. Both guys were landing big shots. First of all, Eggington putting on a real grandstand finish. But then Cheeseman came back and rocked him. And yeah, back and forth in the 12th round. If there'd been a crowd for this fight and it had been in Birmingham or in London, I mean, the crowd would have raised the roof with the noise. But as it was, there was just a handful of people all wearing PPE and stuff like that. So unfortunately, the fight didn't really get the reception that it deserved by way of an audience and attendance, because it really was a great domestic scrap. So Ted Cheeseman moves on. in one of the post-fight interviews, it's interesting, he was kind of suggesting that he's already past British level. So he's not necessarily interested in the Anthony Fowlers and the Fitzgeralds and etc. He acted as though he's not really interested in those fights. And instead, he wants to challenge for world titles next. Now, this Eggington fight did give him, I think, a top 7 or top 5 ranking with at least one of the sanctioned bodies. So that appears to be what Cheeseman wants to do rather than taking on his domestic rivals. You know, he wants to move past those guys and challenge for world honors. Based upon what I've seen of Ted Cheeseman so far in his career, and he's 16-2 with 1 draw, I wouldn't pick him against any of the world champions. You know, and I think the vast majority of people would agree. But look, I mean, fights are not won and lost outside the ring with the opinions of, you know, YouTube pundits and boxing fans. We're not the ones who actually decide the outcome of these fights. The fighters themselves are. So we can give our opinions. It don't mean nothing when the first bell rings. Just ask Buster Douglas. You know, ask Andy Ruiz. Ask Oliver McCall. Don't mean nothing when the first bell rings. So Ted Cheeseman, he should feel confident that he can win a world title. He should feel like it doesn't matter what Hatman or any of these other members of the public or YouTube pundits or TV pundits think. He should believe in himself and disregard all of our opinions, you know. Anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Cheese manages to triumph over Egg. You know, still laughing about how unlikely it is for men with these two names to actually fight each other. Egg versus Cheese. It ain't no omelet, it's a tear-up. I saw some pretty amusing comments in the comment section on one of my videos. Somebody was talking, was it one of my videos or somebody else's video? It might be someone else's video. But they were talking about the cheese got grated. What did they say? The egg got scrambled early on, or the cheese got scrambled early on. Excuse me, the cheese got grated early on, but then came back and the egg really got scrambled. Something like that. You know, people are having fun with the names. End of the day, whatever you want to call it, it was a good fight. And I think most people agree that Ted Cheeseman was the deserved winner in a close one. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. It's happening. I'm out.